Ladies and gentlemen, I have an action-packed broadcast for today. No time to waste at all. So I'm going to lay it out for you right now. When we come back in the next segment, I have a Valentine's Day special that we're going to have for you. So looking forward to that. When I come back in the segment after that, I'm going to do a news blitz, try to get to as many of these news stories that I have on my desk as possible. Then Bryson Gray will be joining us for a segment for a couple reasons. You may think that I'm going to gloat about my feature on his latest album, but no. Actually, I want to get Bryson on to discuss what I would call fake rappers trying to libel and slander him. And there's a very odd phenomenon that I've realized looking into this. Then in the second hour, Nick Fuentes is going to be joining us. Terminated from YouTube today. Terminated from YouTube today. So and I'm quoting Ben Shapiro, I think he said the disgusting piece of ish. I think is how Shapiro described Fuentes. Something like that anyway. He will be joining us in the second hour. Then in the third hour, and since it's Friday, I obviously want to take phone calls too, but we're so stacked today, I'm not sure I'll have time. Frank Kavanaugh and Savannah Hernandez in the third hour. I'd like to take your calls in that hour, but with the panel, it's tougher to take as many. So we're going to try to maybe pepper in some calls along the way. But the big news that everybody's looking at right now is Andy McCabe will not be charged. That's coming from the Justice Department. And he was one of the ringleaders behind the investigation, illegal investigation, mind you, of President Trump. And when I was first kind of looking at this today, I was thinking to myself, obviously there was frustration and anger at the ongoing coup against the president, and then none of the parties responsible faced justice. And I'm thinking, this is so egregious. This is so egregious because remember, people were saying this was going to be it. Weissman was going to be it. But this is so egregious that at first glance, I'm thinking he had to flip. He had to cooperate in some investigation, and that's how he's able to get no charges. But then as it kind of sunk in more, I thought, you know what? No, there's still just big trouble in little D.C. And it was a Valentine's Day gift to Andy McCabe. Maybe he's got a lover in the Justice Department that sent him a little Valentine's Day present. No charges. So if you start an illegal coup, or if you're part of an illegal coup against the President of the United States, illegally spy, lie, spend millions of taxpayer dollars to carry out this lie, you're good. Hey, that's all fine, buddy. But if you're Roger Stone, who dare have his free speech, who dare have free speech, how dare Roger Stone have free speech? How dare he? Well, they try to lock him up for almost 10 years, more than a rapist. And that's D.C. That is the swamp. And this is exactly what we elected Donald Trump to shut down. This is the epitome of the swamp. This is what needs to be drained. So why does it still go on? There's big trouble in little D.C. All right, we got a short break here, guys. Please go over to InfoWarsStore.com during this short break. Check out the T-shirts. Check out the supplements. They're great. InfoWarsStore.com. It's how we make everything we do here possible. I have so much news to cover. You just got to get to InfoWarsStore.com because I'm probably not going to plug much, to be honest. So get to InfoWarsStore.com. Do my job, please. Ladies and gentlemen, it is February 14th, 2020. This is a live broadcast on a Friday. Thank you for joining us on the InfoWars War Room, brought to you by InfoWarsStore.com. I've got a lot to get to today. It's going to be action-packed for the next 3 hours with great guests and content coming up for you, as well as some news, maybe even pepper in some phone calls. But it is Valentine's Day. And so I wanted to do something special for the audience on this Valentine's Day. And I wanted to highlight some of the love, some of the good times, some of the feels that we've had leading up to this epic 2020 year. So here on this Valentine's Day special, I wanted to shed some light on some of the good times where Trump supporters have been showing love to America and to each other. So here is part one of our Valentine's Day special. Trump supporters, conservatives, Republicans, Christians showing love to one another. Starts off with the wonderful Melania and President Trump sharing a kiss. Oh, and then the baby, the famous baby. That baby looks very happy. Unlike when Biden grabs the babies, they look like they've just seen the devil.
And I don't care all the stuff that they say about him. What do I care about that?
He's the best president we've ever had in this country. He doesn't care about politics. He cares about helping the public. He cares about helping the American people.
This is not about anti-Representative Cummings. This is about we see a problem, and this are my American people. These are our brothers and sisters.
Conservative activist Scott Presler put the all call on his social media. It's their second cleanup effort in 2 months.
The areas that we cleaned up before stayed clean, which is great. It shows you that the local community is stepping up.
Any help Louise can get, she says she's grateful.
Oh yeah, big one. Big transportation. Clean up time.
For Louise Brogdon, this effort in front of her West Baltimore house is a sight for sore eyes.
I'm for the neighborhood, but you can't do it all by yourself.
Put a smile on my face. I love it. I knew something being done.
Dozens of outsiders here in Baltimore Monday.
Cleaning up the actual trash is probably the priority.
To pick up trash, cut down weeds, and clear out outlets.
I think this is the best I've seen in about 10 years.
The only thing 311 do is give you a whole lot of confirmation numbers. But they don't send nobody.
Outsiders like Joe Glassman, who took the day off work and drove the hour and a half from Virginia.
People cooperating to solve problems. And if I have to take a day off and sweat and get nasty and do that kind of stuff to maybe prove that point, then hell yeah, I'll do that.
There is a common thread among many of the volunteers.
Look, I'm not worried about who they vote for, where they come from, I know nothing. I figure we all are family. I'm glad to come. I don't have no, whatever you vote for, that's your business.
Made our country such a great place to live the way it's supposed to be, and I'm very thankful.
He got the surprise of his life this past weekend. He's 24-year-old single dad. He's Shane Bouvet. He worked an overnight shift to support his children, and he campaigned for President Trump during the campaign. This while fighting an expensive custody battle. And he's also taking care of a father suffering from cancer. His hard work did not go unnoticed. President Trump personally invited him to attend his inauguration.
I said when I met Donald Trump, I felt God's presence in that tent. I really did.
Wow. I laughed. I cried. I blushed. What a beautiful Valentine's Day special put together from one of our great new editors. Wow, that just touched me in so many ways. So part one of our Valentine's Day special for you is complete. Now we move on to part two. It's fair that we do our due diligence to give everybody proper recognition and proper on-air time. And so we also wanted to highlight some of the love shown to this country and fellow humans by the left and Democrat voters in America. So here's part 2 of the InfoWars War Room Valentine's Day special, The Love of the Left. Oh, here they are burning a flag. Very nice. Stomping on it. Oh, here they are chanting obscenities. Shutting down traffic. Starting a riot. Los Angeles protesters set fire to a Trump effigy. Here they can be seen attacking a woman. And here they are again, starting another riot. Look at that loving left hook from that Antifa member on that woman. Ah, yes, you notice 6 of them gang up on one individual, kicking them, stomping them. That's how you show love. Ah, now one of them is using his skateboard as a weapon on a helpless individual who's on the ground.
Those supporters were attacked as they left the convention center in San Jose overnight. Some punched, some chased down and beaten. Others had bottles thrown at them. And just a short time ago, Donald...
Burning cars and smashed windows. A small group of protesters dressed in black, their faces covered, armed with hammers and bricks. Facing off with thousands of officers on site, many in riot gear, confronting them with flashbang grenades and pepper spray.
They're coming to see us running because they're going to throw more flashbangs.
The chaotic scene just blocks outside the secure area of the inauguration and parade route.
I personally have anti-establishment slants, but I don't think that this is anything that I want to be a part of.
This checkpoint is closed!
Before the swearing-in ceremony even began, protesters tried to block checkpoint entrances.
It's closed!
During President Trump's speech, several demonstrators were escorted out of the area. Several officers injured during the protest today, and more than 100 people arrested.
Resist from day one!
Similar demonstrations across the country. Arrest outside Trump Tower, New York City. A human chain across San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. From Phoenix to Houston to Chicago, people protesting the country's new president on his first day in office.
Here they are demonstrating how to destroy a car. Here they are ripping a Trump hat from a helpless individual. Wow. And so there you go, ladies and gentlemen, the love of the left. And this has been your InfoWars War Room Valentine's Day special for 2020. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I hope you had the tears and the laughter and smiles and all the emotions that I felt while watching that. And I hope that you will take this video that we'll put at band.video on this Valentine's Day and share it with your family and with your friends so that they, too, can see all the political love exhibited by the right and exhibited by the left in America as we get so closer to this pivotal 2020 election. And so I share my love with you. You share your love with us, and we share all the love here on the InfoWars War Room in the form of the Valentine's Day special. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us on this Valentine's Day. Thank you for making us a part of your special day here on this Friday. We knew you had a lot of options on who to share the love with today, and you chose us at InfoWars, and we cannot be more grateful. So from all of us here at InfoWars to you, the audience, we love you, and we hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day. All right, we got to do a news blitz here before all the great guests start coming on. While I'm doing this news blitz, you need to rush on over to InfoWarsStore.com and blitz the supplement section. Check out the bodies. In fact, I went to get some supplements of my own. Turbo Force, the protein bars, bodies are some of my favorite. And these products are so popular, they were sold out. Even for me, a lowly show host, can't even get a protein bar. But they may be back in stock at InfoWarsStore.com. So I'm telling you this because you need to try them if you haven't yet. And then you'll find out why they're so popular, why they sell out. So the next time you're on InfoWarsStore.com and you see that the protein bars are available or on sale, click that buy link, get yourself 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. Give them to family and friends. I've given some away to friends. They love them. So we have a very limited supply. I was told I couldn't even get one. Whoa, but you know what? Maybe that was because I wanted chocolate. That must have been it. All right, I won't blow up at the service team over here. They're great people. But I was denied a box of chocolate protein bars. So, you know what? In fact, maybe I should stop promoting them so then I can keep them all for myself. So this plug is over. All right, let me just go through these stacks of news as quickly as I possibly can before the guests start coming on. In a major gut blow, I can't say I was surprised. Some people thought maybe this would be the one. But no, Justice Department won't charge Andrew McCabe, former FBI official who authorized the investigation of President Trump. Yeah, he was one of the main managers of that coup against President Trump in America. And so a lot of people are looking at this. They're shocked. My first estimation was maybe he's cooperating with an investigation. Maybe he flipped. And then I came back down to earth and realized, no, this is just D.C. This is just the swamp. They're still running the show. And it really is, I guess we would have to be looking at a Horowitz. We'd have to be looking at a Barr. Because this is another miscarriage of justice, and they just continue. Like what happened to Mike Flynn. But now the Justice Department has opened an inquiry into Mike Flynn's FBI interview. I really don't understand why. We all know what happened. Flynn didn't want to go through the legal case. He didn't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars on lawyers. He pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI, even though the FBI never accused him of lying. It was his way of saying, I know this is all a clown show. You just want my scalp, so I'll cut it off for you. Here's my scalp. Go ahead. Please, leave me and my family alone. Well, they still wouldn't do it. But it is interesting that is being investigated. Again, I mean, I can sit here and point out all the double standards and all the two-tiered justice system points, but you already know them. It's out of control. And then we heard the Attorney General yesterday. We played a clip of him on ABC saying how Trump's tweets were bad, and we were kind of anti-Barr in this coverage. If you want to say it, we just call it as we see it. We didn't agree with Barr. I will say that producer Scott kind of put a good point in during the break, saying all he's saying is when Trump puts out tweets, the media freaks out, and then the stories get out of control. But I was thinking about that too, and you know what? So what? So what? Don't be such a wuss, Barr. Yeah, the media is corrupt. Yeah, the media spins things. Yeah, they're a bunch of piranhas. So what? So Trump should shut up? So the president shouldn't tweet? Okay. Well, it gets worse. McConnell, top Republicans support Barr's remarks on Trump tweets. Oh, no, it's so hurtful. We just don't like it when the president tweets something out and then the media asks me about it. Oh. Well, you know what? Here's an idea. Tell the media to buzz off. They haven't figured it out yet. The mainstream media doesn't control reality. America has rejected their poison. Look at Trump. And, you know, I think that we struggle to hurdle this obstacle of, it's kind of like the Republicans can't hurdle the obstacle of we don't care about the mainstream media anymore. And then we kind of struggle to hurdle this obstacle that Republicans are really that bright. Because obviously they're not. They haven't seen all the examples. Ratings are down. Nobody's watching the Oscars or the Golden Globes or whatever. In fact, I don't even know what it is. I was asked to put out a tweet because we're trying to get Ricky Gervais on the show. And so I said the Oscars hero. I guess it wasn't even the Oscars that he did his speech at. I don't even know. I don't watch this crap. I couldn't care less. Nobody does. That's the point. But for some reason, the Republican establishment still thinks they matter. They can't look at the case example of Trump beating the media and the whole Republican Party in 2015 and 16. And then we somehow expect the Republicans to get over this and make this intellectual hurdle, and they can't do it. It's really odd. But on the ground, the support for Trump is unbelievable. Seattle Times, Trump to headline 580,000 per couple fundraiser, the most expensive of his reelection bid. I was talking to a gentleman today who was at a hunting conservation or something. They had an auction. I forget exactly what the group was. It was a hunting group, very big group. They had a dinner and auction. Don Jr. was a speaker, and they had a package, part of the auction, that was to go on a hunting trip with Don Jr. One package, the bid was the package price was $17,000. Would you believe me if I told you that it went for $200,000? And because it did so well, and Don Jr. is so committed to protecting hunting rights, and he's such an avid hunter himself, he went ahead and volunteered to do another one. And they raised another $100,000 plus. So, believe me, the support for Trump is real. The Republican establishment just needs to open their eyes and see it. I forgot to mention this yesterday, but I'll bring it up now. What is Obama doing on Twitter? He's been very silent, but he tweeted this out yesterday, a story from The Atlantic. He says, even if the methods are new, sowing the seeds of doubt, division, and discord to turn Americans against each other is an old trick. Well, I mean, yeah, it's an old trick. You were an old president, so that's your old trick. The antidote is citizenship. Huh? Get engaged, organize, mobilize, and to vote on every level in every election. And, of course, is this – because really – and I don't know if this is what Obama's signaling, but I think really he's just sharing the story from The Atlantic, which, talks about how basically propaganda and trolls and online tricks and deception is what gets Trump in an office and elected and all this stuff, which is all a lie. It's grassroots. But then on top of that, he says the antidote is citizenship. When we know that's what Obama did, he flooded this country with illegal immigrants so that they would vote Democrat. That was Obama's tactic. So he's oddly signaling how the Democrats get into office, illegal immigrants and voting, but then uses the propaganda claiming that social media is being used to get Trump in office with Russians and everything else, even though that's totally been proven false. All right, I'm going to finish this news blitz here in this segment. I have so much great stuff coming up here. I'm trying to decide what I want to do, but let me just focus and do this news blitz, and then we can get to the rest of it in due time. Okay. This just got red-linked at Drudge. Border Patrol will deploy elite tactical agents to sanctuary cities. Elite tactical agents. The Trump administration is deploying law enforcement tactical units from the southern border as part of a supercharged arrest operation in sanctuary cities across the country. An escalation in the president's battle against localities that refuse to participate in immigration enforcement. Yeah, how about the president trying to enforce the law? I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want to stand and cheer for this news. And it's not because, see, they mainstream media and leftists and liberals want to make this out to be like somehow you hate immigrants or you don't like people of a certain color or something like that. No. If an American citizen breaks the law, we suffer punishment. But if you're a Democrat in a bureaucracy or Congress, you get nothing. If you're an illegal immigrant, you break the law, you get nothing. We're sick of that. It has nothing to do with the people. I feel bad. Hey, look. if they actually run this elite tactical unit in sanctuary cities and let's say they arrest 1 million illegal immigrants. They could. Let's say they do it. Would I feel bad for some of those people that have to go through it? Yeah, that sucks. Sucked for me to be in jail for 27 hours. Sucked when I had to be in jail for other things in my life for days. But I broke the law. But they break the law, they get nothing. And so, yeah, I'm sorry that you're going to get arrested and deported potentially. That sucks for you. You broke the law. You have no defense. Heck, even Obama says, become a citizen. Ha! Go figure. So let's see where this goes. I mean, folks, it's no secret. There are tens of millions of illegal immigrants in this country. They handed out, what was it, like 300,000, more than 300,000 driver's licenses to illegal immigrants in New York, I think. They just said, yeah, we're going to give them licenses. Oh, 300,000 of them showed up. Because, but think about this. You could arrest 1 million illegal immigrants tomorrow. This is how simple it really is, which is crazy. You could run that same program again, say we're going to give driver's licenses or whatever to illegal immigrants, and on the same day, and that would be a sting operation, basically. And then you just arrest them. You say, oh, you're a non-citizen, illegal immigrant? Yeah, I'm here for a driver's license. Okay, you're under arrest. Bye. Ooh. But see, that is how out of control it's come, where you can literally have an event and say, illegal immigrants show up. Or Democrats can have campaign events and they have illegal immigrant speakers literally bragging about how they're an illegal immigrant in this country illegally, and they don't get arrested. If I'm driving down the road and I'm drunk, and I got a tall boy, a Bud Light, and I'm chugging a Bud Light, and I drive by a police officer, I'm like, officer, I'm drunk, and I'm like, just chugged a, he's going to arrest me for a DUI. But, if you're an illegal immigrant and you're speaking, I am here illegally. I am an illegal immigrant. I get government benefits. Cops just have to sit there. ICE just has to sit there and just take it. So Harvey Weinstein's case is coming to a close, at least in a chronological sense. Harvey Weinstein accused of power, manipulation, and abuse in prosecution's closing argument. So, what happened to the coverage of this? Harvey Weinstein was the big fish of the Me Too movement. And it wasn't about Hollywood, about all the, abuse and all the manipulation and the power. No. It wasn't about Hollywood. It was about Trump. But see, since that didn't work, and it really blew up on Hollywood, the mainstream news has dropped this story. And now at its peak, no one is even talking about it. Seriously, nobody. When it was all the accusations, or there was like a month where Kermit the Frog or Miss Piggy could have popped up out of nowhere and said, I was touched by Harvey Weinstein. And they'd literally have press conferences. CNN would show up at Miss Piggy's house with MSNBC and NBC and CBS. Miss Piggy, where did Harvey Weinstein touch you? Oh, everywhere. And he put me in a shower. Ah. And it was like, oh my gosh, round-the-clock coverage. The Me Too movement is real. All the women abused, and it's Trump's fault. More at 9. Didn't stick. But now it's like the real stuff is coming out. The accusers in the trial, prosecution, and where's the news? Nowhere to be found. Missing in action. James Gunn can be a director, though. That's cool. Ilhan Omar's ex discovered she was cheating when he walked in on lovers in pajamas in D.C. Ooh. How's that for a Halloween, Valentine's Day special? It is more of a, you see Ilhan Omar, you'd think you're in Halloween. So Ahmad Hirsi, which was her husband, discovered Ilhan Omar having an affair with married Tim Minette when he went to her Washington, D.C. apartment and found the lovers in pajamas. Of course, they were going around with one another all the time. She was basically giving him all the campaign money to run her campaign. And it was, I mean, so much abuse. I mean, how about an ethics investigation into Ilhan Omar? And this is just peanuts compared to the fact she's trying to overthrow America. I mean, yeah, Ilhan Omar, I guess she's a cheater. She's, but how about trying to overthrow America? How about that? How about hating America? How about hating our veterans? How about that? Whatever. She just gets to do all of it. And she's praised by the left. Can you imagine if a Republican congressman cheated on their spouse? Oh, you wouldn't hear the end of it. Wouldn't hear the end of it. Just angers me. It really just. I sit here and it's like I feel like I never want to run for office because I just feel like, I don't know, I'm not good enough or whatever. But why do I feel that way? Ilhan Omar is human trash. Excuse me. I don't want to start yelling here. Disgraced lawyer Michael Avenatti found guilty in Nike extortion trial. Disgraced lawyer Michael Avenatti was convicted of all 3 charges related to his efforts to extort up to $25 million from Nike. Oh, yeah. How juicy is that? Of course, this came after, I mean, Stormy Daniels sued Michael Avenatti and won too, didn't she? I mean, this guy, what a creep. Remember when he said he was going to beat Trump in 2020? Was that, I mean, seriously, like, what was that guy smoking? And where can I get some? Chiefs Bashad Breeland looking forward to White House visit after Super Bowl. He's not the only one. Other players have said they're looking forward to it. Tyreek Hill, Tyrann Mathieu, Andy Reid, the head coach. I think this is going to be a good one. We've seen a couple in the past where President Trump got some love from champions. I know the Pittsburgh Penguins went, the St. Louis Blues went, and paid President Trump respect. There was obviously Kurt Suzuki of the Washington Nationals who had the Trump hat on. But I think the Chiefs, they may go the biggest. They may go the biggest and the hardest for Trump in the professional sports world. The LSU Tigers were pretty lit in the White House, but I'm going to make a prediction. Travis Kelce and others, I think this could be a big White House visit with the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, when we come back, Bryson Gray live with us on a Friday. That's the sound you hear when somebody makes a rap album that doesn't rap about beating women, pimping hoes, dealing crack, killing cops, and it's actually good. And so, yes, Bryson Gray did just drop a rap album that, yes, I am featured on, but I'm not going to have time to air that. You can check that out on Bryson Gray's Twitter or at Anomaly's YouTube channel. But Bryson Gray is doing something else that I will air right now for your viewing pleasure. He's doing some, let's say, comedy shorts, and he's got a little bit of a theme going here. He's kind of on a roll, so I want to air these two. First, let's go to, don't be ashamed, Bryson. This is funny stuff. First, let's go to Trump supporter goes into a bar.
Oh, yeah. I've been vegan for about 2 years. Oh, my God. Is that a Trump supporter? Don't you know that you support a racist? Oh, what? A racist. Donald Trump is obviously a racist. May I ask how he's a racist? I mean, he's Charlottesville.
So, guys, we got to do this. For some reason, when we play this stuff, the audio like fades out. We don't hear the end of it. So at the end of it, though, he brings up how he's a vegan again. Anyway, it's hilarious. And when you hear that noise, if you're just listening, he has a bigger hat on every time you hear that sound. So that's kind of the thing that he's working with. Now, this one, I think this one's even better, actually. This is Trump supporter goes into a rapper's booth.
Hey, bro, my boy at the door. I'm about to go get him. You good, bro? You good?
MAGA hat.
You bring a Trump supporter in my studio, bro? I told him not to wear the hat. I told you not to wear the hat. Bro, it's just a hat, bro. Just a hat. Do you understand what that hat represents? That's the hatred of our people. And that's the problem right there. See me? I'm pro-black. I'm trying to uplift our communities. You want to tear it down. Tear it down. Tear it down, really. Yes, tear it down. I don't know how you doing that, but that's the problem with y'all right there. Coon. Press record. You know I pull triggers. You know I'm in the hood. You know I kill niggas. I sold crack to my mama. I sold crack to my brother. And my cousins sell drugs. We sold crack to each other.
Oh, yes. Great stuff. I think you just released that. I just saw it before you came on because I was checking your Twitter. I love the new stuff, man. I love the new stuff. So you did the first one, and I guess it was so popular, you decided to make another. Is this a theme you're going to stick with?
Well, what's funny is I usually do skits on Vine when Vine was popular, and I actually had skits to make World Star Hip Hop, and I just stopped doing it. But what inspired me is Vine 2 came out, but it's called Bite or something, and it just gave me the idea to start doing skits again, make them sort of political, but try to have like a deeper meaning behind them. And so I just started doing it. I'm gonna probably make one a day too.
Well, it works because it has a consistent theme that's funny with the Trump hat, and then it gets bigger and bigger because you have these ridiculous giant foam Trump hats that you made popular. But also, you know, there is a point. You know, the first one was kind of just a quick one that's like, hey, you know, Trump haters can't even hold their ground in the debate. But then the one in the rap booth is great because, again, it's like, and it goes beyond just the rap industry. All of these people in Hollywood want to tell us to hate Trump or blame conservatives for all the degeneracy in society when it's them. That's what they've been doing. And you can use the rap game as a perfect example, like you did at the end of the song. It's not, you know, whose fault is it if children in the hood want to grow up to be strippers or pimps or, you know, hate cops or whatever? Well, it's the people whose music they listen to that promote that.
And the worst part about it is they'll give you the perception that they're so woke and they're some type of activist and they're trying to uplift other people. And you listen to a song and like, uplift? This is the problem with our community. And it comes from every aspect of Hollywood. It's pure propaganda. Like I said, I can't even watch Netflix. I was looking for a show to watch on Netflix. You can't even find anything because it's propaganda in every single show. And it's so, the world is crazy. We live in a crazy world right now, man.
Well, it's true, and it's hard, and you know your steadfastness in making music, you know, even though you know that you're never going to probably be accepted by the establishment that controls the music industry, you've just said screw it, I'm going to do me anyway. You've become very popular, which brings me to my next point, a little spat or whatever you want to call it with Talib Kweli Green.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I've never heard of this individual, but apparently he's a famous rapper. Apparently. Now,
yes.
I'm calling him a fake rapper because I noticed something about Talib Kweli Green's account. And I've seen this guy before making all kinds of weird leftist, racist statements. But I did a little more research because I wanted to ask you about this because he's, I guess, trying to diss you or whatever. It's all stupid. But what I noticed is he has 1 million followers on his Twitter account. But if you go look at his tweets, he gets no interaction. I mean, he rarely gets a like, rarely gets a retweet, rarely has people commenting on his stuff, but he has 1 million followers. So something is off about that. You, on the other hand, are completely censored, by the way. I'm sure they're throttling your follow count and everything. In fact, I think it went down today because when I first looked, you were at like 52, and then when I went back, you were back down to 51.
That happens all the time.
I doubt that was of Green's influence. But what do you make of that? A guy with 1 million followers, he's apparently a rapper accepted by the establishment, promoted by the establishment, 1 million followers, but nobody responds to his tweets. Nobody likes his tweets. I mean, I just call him a fake rapper. I guess he's fake just like his followers on Twitter. I mean, what do you make of that?
Well, I can tell you this. I went to work at 6 this morning. That's when I saw his tweet, right? He is still, if I refresh my mentions right now, he is still there. So that's why he don't have no activity, because even if half of the files were real, they probably all muted him. Nobody has time for this all day. And he used to be a popular rapper. He hasn't had a hit single since I was a child. And that's not me hating. This is real life. And he always talking, but he's scared to debate. He started hating when the Mega Challenge came out. And that's when he started trying to come to my page. And now he's just still doing it randomly, I guess. But I've offered to debate and he's never accepted. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I was actually going to do that too. I was going to be like, hey, why don't you come on the War Room today? Maybe we can try that in the future and see if he'll talk face to face. I doubt it. We'll probably have to. He'll probably have to call in the lefty, your father, to take his place. All right, I want to go ahead and do this right now. I did an ad that I was told was distasteful, and I guess it's because I was impersonating a black lady, maybe. So as a white man, I am going to put my white privilege down, and I'm not going to judge myself here. I'm going to let Bryson Gray judge me instead, because I don't want to be a bad white person. I need to know if I'm being racist. So Bryson, I need you to review this ad that I cut, and I need you to tell me if I'm racist for cutting this ad. Go ahead, guys.
All right. Roll it.
My name is Ayanna Presley, and I recently shaved my head bald. But immediately upon shaving my head bald, I realized I had an issue. My scalp was dry, and I didn't know what to do. And I struggled for days trying to figure out what to do with my dry scalp. Did I regret shaving my head bald? No. But did I need a solution for my bald head being dry? Yes. And it may have been a shot in the dark, but I went to InfoWarsStore.com and I got myself a tube of Super Silver Skin Cream. And now look at me. Look at my beautiful bald head. Shiny, glimmering in the light, smooth. It has a wax-like feel. I wouldn't have been able to accomplish any of this if it wasn't for InfoWarsStore.com. So now I can be a proud, bald-headed black woman thanks to the skin cream at InfoWarsStore.com. Now look, gaze at the beauty of my bald head. I want to thank InfoWarsStore.com for making Super Silver Skin Cream. All right. You be the judge.
That was the funniest thing I watched all day.
I thought it was pretty good.
I loved it. Oh my God. I was trying not to laugh loud while I was playing.
No, it's all right. Hey, isn't your dad is bald, isn't he?
Yes, he needs
I think I should send him. I think I will send your father a tube of the Super Silver Skin Cream, and he can test it. And then we'll get him on air. We'll get his take.
Yes, sir. That's what we need right
All
there.
right, Bryson Gray at Serious Verse Vodka on Twitter. That's where you can find his music. All right, we're waiting to hear back from Nick Fuentes to discuss his ban from YouTube. He's going to be on with us today. You know, anytime somebody gets hit with the big tech social media censorship, we bring them on here to discuss it and, you know, at least give them a platform while they're being censored and probably lied about. That's how it goes. Let me get to the rest of this news in this short segment, though. What makes people happier? Money or exercise? Well, according to a new study from Yale and Oxford, researchers from the two universities have published new findings that suggest exercise is more important to your mental health than your bank account. Now, I would say that everybody probably knows that in a practical sense, but the problem is that exercise doesn't pay the bills. Now, why am I bringing this up? I can encourage you to exercise. I can encourage you to stay active, and I can say, hey, look at the study. It'll make you happier. It'll make you healthier, but you already know that. The challenge is, because you have to prioritize, obviously. The challenge is having the energy, having the drive to exercise while you're working your job, raising a family, going to school, whatever the case may be. And for myself, I mean, I'm to the point where I'm probably literally addicted to exercise. If I don't get exercise, I'm like, I won't say I'm depressed, but I'm in a funk. But I couldn't do it. I don't think I would have that drive and the energy to do all of that on top of my work here if it wasn't for the products at InfoWarsStore.com. And so if that is what's holding you back from exercising more, is just you don't have the drive, you don't have the energy at the end of the day, we have products at InfoWarsStore.com that can help. Whether it's the Super Male Vitality on a consistent day-to-day basis to just give you the long-term effect of the everyday drive, the everyday energy, or if it's the Turbo Force. Let's say it's the end of the workday, you're pooped, you don't have the energy to go to a gym, or you don't have the energy to take that run or that bike ride. Turbo Force will give you that energy guaranteed. And in fact, it's so effective, it's sold out right now. And I hate doing this because this seems to happen a lot, but folks, that is the indicator of how well Turbo Force works, how popular it is. It's not just me up here telling you, hey, in InfoWars Life, Turbo Force is the best. It is the best. That's why it's always sold out. And so, I mean, obviously, I want to tell you about Turbo Force so we can sell it and fund everything we do here so I can go on the road and do all the great things we do. But it does suck when it's sold out, and I can't even get any. And it's like that way with two products right now. The chocolate protein bars and the Bodies is out too. That's one of my other ones that I love. It's because I probably come on here and the people call in and talk about how much they love the Bodies, the protein bar, the Turbo Force, and then we sell out of it. It will be back in stock, but try and see and for yourself why it's so popular, why it sells out, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I do have some other important news. I'm not going to be able to get to it, but again, I'll just hit on it because I really do think it's important. Nobody else seems to notice. Jeremy Corbyn praising Julian Assange now, standing up for Julian Assange strongly, saying he shouldn't be extradited. And I'm not I'm not the guy on here talking about Q, talking about 60 chess and all this stuff. But to me, I kind of see in between the lines here. And for whatever reason, the powers that be, the establishment, don't want Assange in the United States. Now, I don't know what Assange's future would be here, but for whatever reason, I don't think the establishment wants Assange in the United States talking to President Trump because they arrested him and now they're saying don't extradite him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are working on getting Nick Fuentes on right now. He was banned from YouTube today. We also just had one of our writers get banned as well. And so I'm calling a bit of an audible right now. And what I'm going to do now is do my predictions for Democrat president right here in this segment. And we're going to have Nick Fuentes on in the next segment. But here, in fact, actually, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and do it. So here are some past predictions, just so you can keep up with where we've been at, of me predicting how the Democrat Party is going to go. Check me on this at the end of the race, and we'll see. But here are your odds right now for your Democrat candidates. Joe Biden, 0%. Okay, 0%. Cory Booker, 0%. Pete Buttigieg, ooh, this was October last year. We're going to go with 2%. 2%. Julian Castro, 0.5%. He comes in with a 0.5 there. Ooh, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard's coming in at an 8%. 8% chance here. Who's this on the other side? Kamala Harris. Kamala, 0%. 0% chance for Kamala. Amy Klobuchar. That's a 0. That's the goose egg. Beto. Beto gets a 0. Beto for 0. Bernie, 0. 0, 0. Tom Steyer. This guy, in fact, he doesn't even register. He's not even on the board. So the fact, whoever wanted him on the debate stage paid a hefty amount to get him on there. So expect Tom Steyer to make some crazy claim about climate change. He's not even a real candidate. That's just a publicity stunt. Elizabeth Warren. There's your front runner right there, which is pathetic to think. but it's true. And because of that, I have Elizabeth Warren coming in at 51%. And then Andrew Yang, we'll give him 1%. 1% for Andrew Yang. Now, there's a name on here. There's a name not on here. And what is that? It's Hillary Clinton. So what are Hillary Clinton's chances of being the nominee right now? 52%. And there are your odds right there. Hillary Clinton is now the front runner, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so that was back in last October. We've got another prediction thing that we're going to play, and we're going to come back to this later. But I want to go ahead and just bring Nick Fuentes on now. We've been connected with him. So here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. We've had Nick on before. If you've been following him, he's been turned into a controversial figure for just, his opinion that he, is not going to back down from. So we salute him from that, despite all the bullying he's received. And I believe the quote is a disgusting piece of ish. I think is how Ben Shapiro describes Nick Fuentes. So he may take that as a badge of honor. And so Nick Fuentes was banned, though, on YouTube today. For what? Well, they say hate speech. I'm not clear of any hate speech that I've ever heard from Nick Fuentes. So we'll see if he can clear the record for us. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
So you've got a new mustache. It looks good on you. I'd like to borrow it maybe for a day. So you've been banned. You've been banned on YouTube. What's the story?
Yeah, so I woke up today and I had received my third community guideline strike on my channel, which means that I'm permanently terminated. And they actually didn't even give me a clear reason. They said that it was just part of their broader community guidelines policy on hate speech. And they also said something about violence. So I'm a little bit confused as to why exactly I was banned, but I knew this was coming. Like I said, I got my second community guideline strike earlier this week, and you're only allotted 3. So I had 76,000 subscribers, something like that, been on YouTube for 2 years, and now I'm gone forever. And I don't believe I'm able to make a new account. So it's going to take some getting used to.
No, and if I recall correctly, the last time we had you on, I'm not celebrating this, believe me, but I'm pretty sure I made the prediction that they would eventually ban you. I think you knew it was coming. This has nothing to do, by the way. Again, I've never heard Nick Fuentes say anything that would be, considered violent or suggesting violence. I've never heard him say anything that would be considered hate speech either. This is just another example. Nick Fuentes is, he started America First. That's his big claim to fame. Very popular. And so that's why he got banned, was because he's America First, because he says what he thinks. He doesn't back down. He doesn't get bullied by the left or the right. Actually, quite frankly, he takes more heat from the right because he says things that they're afraid to say. So, the ban from YouTube is obviously permanent. It's mostly because of your political views, not for hate speech, not for suggesting violence. That's clear to me. YouTube has been caught lying about this for years. And, hey, at least you got 3 strikes. They didn't even give me but 1. I got 1. And then when I asked them what is the deal here, they never even got back to me. But so what is the plan for America First now? What does Nick Fuentes do now?
Well, I just want to say I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Obviously, they've been using the hate speech. That's been the pretext for years to censor and silence true conservatives, true nationalists online. We know that's been happening for years, and that happened to you long before it happened to me. I think back last August or somewhere around there. So we know that is the deal. And in this case, it was actually really, I think, more from the right that there was pressure to silence me. The last time I was on InfoWars was during the Groyper Wars, where we were antagonizing people like Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, among others, who are actually open borders conservatives and funded by open borders billionaires like the Koch brothers and the Wilkes brothers and so on. So I just thought I'd point that out. This is maybe one of the first times where really the big pressure came from the conservative Inc. faction or the right that's the establishment as opposed to from the progressive left. But the plan for me after getting banned from YouTube, I have a backup, and I've been, fortunately, I've been running my show not just on YouTube for the past month and a half or so, but I've been running my show on DLive as well, which DLive.tv. I believe InfoWars has been banned off of DLive, but so far I've been okay over there.
All right, hey, hold on, let's get the crew to check on that. We'll find out if that's the case.
I believe that's the case, but I'm not 100% sure. But so
okay, we have confirmed. Yes, we're banned on DLive.
Yeah, so that being said, I don't know how much longer I'll have on DLive if you guys have had issues. But for now, it's dlive.tv/Nick J. Fuentes. That's where I'll be doing my show in the meantime. And then I am working on something which is proprietary. I'll be able to stream my show very soon from my own website, and that should be unveiled this weekend or at the latest on Monday. So I do have a backup plan to continue the show. But, you know, as we all know, there are only so many options for people like us who have a target on our back from Silicon Valley. There's only so many options. First, it starts with the social media platforms. And as we've seen over the years, increasingly, they go after even back-end services. They'll go after your Cloudflare DDoS protection. They'll go after your domain registrar. They'll go after your payment processor. And when it gets back that far in terms of the technical aspects of running a website, there's only so many options. There's a finite amount of services. So I think it's really just a matter of time, unless there's intervention from the White House or from Congress or this administration, that all conservatives are going to be completely wiped, not just from the platforms, but from the internet altogether. And we've already seen that happen to a lot of websites like Gab, a few others. I think Daily Stormer, that happened to them a few years ago. And a lot of people don't like to defend those websites, but those are websites where the back-end services were targeted, and it makes it immeasurably harder for them as opposed to merely getting banned off of the biggest social media and video streaming platforms. So that's my plan in the meantime. But I think unless we have any action from the government, there really isn't a real long-term solution for all of us forever, permanently. But that's what I'm doing in the meantime.
Well, and I'm glad that you brought the issue of competing with these tech giants up, because I actually did some thinking about that yesterday. This was before I knew you got banned. I was going to bring this up, but I want to discuss that on the other side with you, because they say, you know, oh, build your own thing or do this or do that. But that's still, even if you want to make that argument, that doesn't justify what they're doing. And I will explain why that's not even fair to say in general either. And I think we all know why, but we're going to put it into words and an analogy here. Nick Fuentes, America First, is with us. We'll be right back. All right, we're back here with Nick Fuentes, who is banned from YouTube today. Like many other conservatives, banned for his political speech and then lied about, saying that it's for hate speech. Really sad to see that happening. And we have a tweet here from James Tolp for Congress. In the same week, Google-owned YouTube has announced they are funding the left-wing Young Turks and deplatforming the right-wing Nick Fuentes. Big tech censorship against those on the right is a threat to not only free speech, but our national sovereignty as well. And that's a whole nother angle of this, honestly, Nick, where these platforms are promoting one political ideology very clearly, very presently, and censoring another. And that's really, I think, what we're seeing here. It's kind of the back end of the censorship. It is trying to change the scales of politics in this country. But I want to get your take on this. Here's why I don't like the whole build your own thing. Yeah, that's capitalism. Yeah, that's the free market. I appreciate that. However, it's like asking somebody to play against you in a video game with a broken controller. It's like asking somebody to build a house and compete with them when you've got cheap grade Chinese steel and they've got strong American steel. The point is, we don't have the means. We don't have the assets. I mean, quite frankly, the billions of dollars it takes to build a platform like this. And I've tried the alternative platforms. And quite frankly, they just don't work as well. I mean, of course they don't. We don't have the money to fund all it takes. I'm not talking about us here in general. I'm talking about anybody who tries to start up one of these alternative accounts. So I don't think it's fair, Nick, because you're going to have to, I mean, like I said, you're building your own thing. You probably had to fund that yourself. There's no way you can compete with what you were able to do on YouTube and the outreach that you had on YouTube and the access and the ease. It's all more difficult for you now. So yeah, you're going to do it, but it's not a fair market.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And this has been the refrain that we've heard from a lot of mainstream conservatives from years when it comes to internet censorship or other things. They say, well, that's
And by the way, those are the ones
that
that get to stay on social media.
Yeah, right. And that should be added as well. All the people that are perfectly safe, all the people that will never have to worry about being banned, their take invariably is that YouTube is a private company, or Google is a private company, Twitter is a private company, and therefore all their editorial decisions are perfectly okay. And there's actually legal problems with that argument, but like you said, even if you were to look at it on its face without looking at things like Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act and the dubious nature of whether that's really a free market, of course, we all know that nobody can compete with Google. Nobody can compete with Alphabet. Nobody can compete with Facebook. I think Facebook has something like 2 billion monthly active users. I'm not sure exactly the figures, but we all know that what these various social media companies constitute are monopolies or an oligopoly. And so you're right, there really is no such thing as a fair playing field when it's somebody like me, where I had 76,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is maybe more than your average person. But clearly, this is nothing compared to the billions of people that use YouTube as their go-to video streaming or video playback platform. And we all know that. So I will be trying to build my own service, but I think it's important to note, as you said, that just because we're going to be resilient, as you have been on InfoWars as well, conservatives are some of the most resilient people out there when it comes to new media. Just because we're able to bounce back and we're able to be resilient and tackle these problems, it doesn't mean that what's happening is right, or it shouldn't be called out as wrong, because it isn't. If we view Twitter and YouTube and all the rest as a kind of digital public square, it may not violate the letter of the First Amendment, which applies to the government abridging free speech. But we know that it most certainly violates the spirit of a free society and the First Amendment, which is that political speech, and more particularly political dissent, must be tolerated, must be accepted, and promoted in the public square to actually have a free society. And we all know that's going away. Increasingly, even campaigns are relying almost totally on social media. Donald Trump wouldn't have won in 2016 if it wasn't for his campaign's ability to use social media, and all his proxies or all of his influencers on social media promoting his campaign separately from the campaign. We know that even Michael Bloomberg to this day is taking out, I mean, I don't know how much money he's spending on his campaign.
Hundreds of millions,
dollars.
yeah.
It's crazy. I think he's pledged billions for this election, and certainly hundreds of millions will be spent online. So the idea that people can just be arbitrarily tossed out of that process, that people can just be arbitrarily eliminated from being a part of that because we're still living with this like 19th century mentality that Google is the same as, I don't even know, like a general store. I don't think that makes sense to anybody. That's not right to anybody. So we're going to be resilient. We're going to try and survive as long as we can. But as you said, it's certainly not fair. And there is no long-term solution just in us trying to cobble together something. The real long-term solution is going to come from regulation and from possibly a Republican White House.
Which is sad that it has to come to that, because these people have engaged in such, political discrimination is really what it is at the end of the day. And quite frankly, I think Nick Fuentes is going to be fine. You have a big audience. You have a great brand, America First. It's going to be, a struggle for you. You're a young guy, though. I think you're going to be resilient. But guess what? Not everybody has what Nick Fuentes built. A lot of people that may be trying to build that, or may just be using YouTube for whatever they're doing, that get erased, and we don't ever hear from them again. And the analogy that I kind of came to my head, thinking about this and listening to you talk, it's like, and I don't know if you can relate to this, but I remember when I was young in school and we'd have like projects, all kinds of projects, whatever, the big projects. And the rich kid would always have the biggest, best project because they had the maids and the nannies helping them, and they had, enough money, buy whatever supplies, didn't matter. Whereas a kid whose parents both worked, didn't have help in the house, didn't have a bunch of money to spend on all the products, you could tell, oh, here, look at this thing. It looks like it was built by a professional. And then, here's this thing, which is nice, and you can tell they cared and they tried, but not built by a professional. That's kind of where it's at in the social media world. Now, that's not to say we can't be successful. That's not to say we're not being resilient. That's not to say we're not creating good platforms. It's just to say, again, it's not fair. It is definitely not fair. But it's even beyond that, knowing that it is political discrimination. And isn't that the saddest part about this? These people, these are adults, by the way. They're so immature and petty and petulant. They're engaging in clear political discrimination, clear political bias right in front of everyone's face, and then saying, oh, no, it's hate speech. We're just protecting people from hate speech and violence. A blatant lie.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely horrible. And I think everybody who's honest with themselves understands that. The left is cheering it on. And even to an extent, I think the mainstream conservative establishment smiles whenever an actual dissident, an actual reactionary gets banned. I think anybody that's not benefiting from this, anybody who's honest about the corrupt system that we're living in, not just the government, but the whole structure, I think they understand what this really means. The communications, mass media, this is really the big battle, because we could talk about the issues like demographic change, and we could talk about other things, the declining morality of the country. But unless we have some kind of control of mass media and the promulgation of information, we can't address all those other things. And the elites know that. That's why they're doing it subtly and gradually and quietly. And not a lot of people, I think, are even aware of what's going on and the power they have.
All right, I want to kind of get to another point that we're dealing with here, where some people will defend Nick Fuentes' free speech, others won't. And I'm not talking about the left. I'm talking about strictly with conservatives. Let's explain that on the other side. Nick Fuentes, America First, is our guest here on the InfoWars War Room, banned from YouTube today. In fact, I'll be honest. I mean, am I the first person that's interviewed you since you're banned?
Yes. Yeah, I got banned, I think, at like 9 a.m. So,
I consider that a victory. I consider that a victory. We get the exclusive right here. And I'm glad Nick wants to come on. Now, here's the deal. I want to explain something, Nick, and then get your response to it. I am very, I guess you would say, really classical liberal minded when it comes to speech and communication. I'll have any guest on. Anybody who wants to come on, anybody who wants this platform, I'm open. I'm open to everyone on the conservative side. I'm open to everyone on the liberal side. Quite frankly, anybody, everybody, I like it all. Because at the end of the day, really, I hate politics. To be honest, it's just this country is effed. And we got to figure this out so that our future generations can have freedom in America and not live under tyranny or communism. And so why am I saying this? I don't pick fights with people inside the conservative movement. Neither does Nick Fuentes. But what ends up happening is, and it's been called conservative ink, or let's say mainstream conservatives. And here's how I would break this down. And again, I don't say this to pick fights. I just call it as I see it, let the chips fall. If you're ingratiated by Fox News, that's when you pretty much become a mainstream conservative. Now, I won't say if you go on Fox News and do a segment or two here, or if you have friends at Fox News. No. You know what I'm talking about. If you're ingratiated and embraced by Fox News, that's when you have basically borders or guidelines around what you can and can't do, who you can and can't talk to. And then it turns into some weird infighting inside the conservative movement where some people get demonized. I think Nick is probably one of those individuals. I am one as well. I don't believe Fox News has ever reached out or will ever reach out to Nick Fuentes. They'll probably never reach out to me too. Quite frankly, I think the only one at Fox News with a wide open mind for all of it is Tucker Carlson. Again, I'm not picking fights. I watch Fox News. I think a lot of the people there are great. I'm distinguishing between what the mainstream conservatives are versus what real conservatives are, if you want to say that. And so this is kind of what I think more than the left has led to your downfall on social media, Nick, is actually conservatives coming after you. And I see somebody like Michelle Malkin, who I would actually consider a mainstream conservative, and I stand and cheer because she doesn't care. She's not going to let the conservative bullies silence her from standing up for your free speech. So I salute her. And I'm sure there's been others, and I'm sure there have been people that would rather throw you under the bus or have even cheered your censorship. Funny enough, Shapiro actually stood up for your free speech, even though he's not a fan of yours. But that's real conservatism, really liberalism in the classical sense. But what do you think about that distinction that's happening right now as we get closer to 2020, where for whatever reason, Conservative Inc. or mainstream conservatives are trying to shut off other conservatives, other Trump supporters who are influential from having that mainstream influence?
Well, I think you're exactly right that this was the result, probably more of Conservative Inc. pressure than it was from the left. Because, you know, for as long as I've been doing America First, I've been doing the show for 3 years now. I actually just celebrated my 3rd anniversary of doing the show on February 6th. And I've gotten trouble from the left since I started doing the show, from Jared Holtz, from Will Sommers, the usual suspects.
But
it wasn't until... Yeah, Jared, I'm sure, you know, he's a super fan of your show as well.
Yes, Jared is my friend. I say hi to Jared. It's Valentine's Day. Hi, Jared.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day to Jared and his cats and his boyfriend.
Oh, come on.
But so I've gotten trouble from him for forever. He's been a parasite, sort of leeching off the blood of conservatives for years. He's got a fake job. But it wasn't until I challenged Turning Point USA. It wasn't until I challenged Charlie Kirk and the billionaires that fund his organization that I started to have a lot of problems. Because I'll say, you know, right after I think it was the Ohio State Charlie Kirk speaking event, it was right after that one where him and Rob Smith were humiliated by fans of my show and other America First allies that the Zionist Organization of America, on his command, put out a press release and said, Nick Fuentes should be banned off of all social media. And I know some other things happening behind the scenes, but in short, and you could just look at the timeline, it wasn't until the Groyper Wars when we went around humiliating the establishment conservatives, like you said, these mainstream types, that I started to get a lot of problems for my channel, for Twitter, for all the rest. And so I think that just goes to show that the divide isn't really so much anymore between simply the right on the left, but increasingly it's this faction within the conservative movement called Conservative Inc. that is the problem, people that aren't actually really conservative. And, you know, it's not anything new. This is something that's been going on for like 50 years. You could go back and look at the paleocons versus the neocons back in the 1980s and 1990s. It was people like Peter Brimelow and Paul Gottfried. Jason Richwine got fired relatively recently. That was another casualty of that conflict. You could go back to the 1950s and 1960s with the creation of National Review and how Russell Kirk was kind of kicked out. This has been something that's been going on since really the end of World War II, which is the creation of this phony, fake, establishment conservative brand that really is the vanguard of the military-industrial complex and the capitalist class. Now, I consider myself a capitalist, but we all know that this hyper-individualistic free market has empowered very bad people like Jeff Bezos, George Soros. You go down the list, Michael Bloomberg, all the great capitalists, all the great titans of industry that have been created
by... You know what? I want to just cut you off there and kind of go, because I was going to go here anyway, and you kind of did an excellent segue there unintentionally. How do I phrase this? Because this is really, to me, more about the military-industrial complex. And people will come here, and I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth, and you can choose to respond to this if you'd like, but people will say, oh, you hate Jews, or you know, that's your big thing is you hate Jews. Well, as far as I can tell, I've never seen you say anything about hating Jews. You simply say, and quite frankly, I agree with you. You don't like our foreign policy and our foreign relation with Israel. You think they have way too much influence on our foreign policy in the Middle East, which has led to an abuse of the military-industrial complex and horrible foreign policy in the Middle East. Now, to me, most fair-minded conservatives or even leftists, when you just lay it out like that, would agree. But for some reason, when Nick Fuentes points that out and gets really popular, he gets shut down.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's exactly what happens, because you do have people on the left who are obviously critics of war, people that are critics of the neoconservative establishment, the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, and so on. And even the Young Turks, you know, who you pointed out earlier, they just got investment from Google. They just got investment from YouTube.
Yeah, and weren't they funding Chunk Yogurt's campaign, too, in California?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, I believe there were contributions. Right. So they're pouring money into the coffers of these like left-wing progressives who actually say a lot of the same things. And this is a pretty recurring theme where right-wing people talk about some of the same problems from a right-wing perspective, whether it's the military-industrial complex or we're talking about demographic change. We're talking about all these things. And the left people talk about it from a left-wing perspective, and that's okay. That's fine. That just goes to show that they're, real populists. But we talk about that stuff, and we're Nazis. And it's true. If you watch my show, it is not, they try to make me out like I'm this, skinhead white nationalist or something. If you watch my show, it is a pretty moderate show. It's a very Christian, conservative, mainstream message. It's just issues that the establishment does not like us to broach. It's issues that, why Bernie Sanders, I think, is being railroaded in the DNC Democratic primary right now, why Donald Trump was attacked so much from the establishment back in 2016. It's all part of the same conflict, which is between nationalists and globalists. And us on the right, we have to acknowledge who are our real friends and who are our enemies. Somebody like Ben Shapiro, as you pointed out, he did put out a tweet which I guess, was in defense of me. What did he say? He said, oh, he's an evil, terrible, disgusting loser, and I hate him, and so on.
No.
And
It's Nick Fuentes is an absolute disgusting S show. But if he was banned for his idiotic garbage viewpoints rather than for violent threats, YouTube shouldn't be deplatforming him. So we'll call that a defense if you want. Hold your nose, hold your ears, and close your eyes. And yeah, Nick Fuentes should exist. Oh, well, Nick, if you do shave your head bald and be a skinhead, I have this super silver skin cream that I recommend in case you have a bald head. All right, final segment here with Nick Fuentes. America First banned on YouTube today. How dare he? I want to bring up a couple other stories, actually, with Nick here, and then just get some closing comments from him, fresh on a YouTube ban. This is the kind of crap, though, that normally gets people banned. Again, we've discussed how with Nick, oddly enough, it more comes from the right than the left. But this is the kind of crap that's usually getting people banned. They're coming after PragerU right now, and this is a deranged comedian that I'm not trying to give so much credence to as much as just use for an example, who tweets out, PragerU is actually dangerous. They're reaching a new, younger audience with this BS conservative propaganda. Yeah, like, less taxes and borders and, how dare we? They trick kids into their thinking their videos are educational, even though PragerU is as much of a real college as Monsters University. Yeah, nobody's enrolling at PragerU. Again, that's just a failed attempt at humor. But there's two examples here, Nick. One, this is what the left does, claiming that you're dangerous just by pointing out facts, which is kind of the mainstream Trump supporter right now that gets bullied just for saying facts. But I think the second part of this is even more true, and really I think with you're a young guy. What are you, 23 or something? 21. So yeah, even younger. But that, I think, is what Conservative Inc. was so afraid of with you, is that you were able to get popular amongst young conservatives and young Christians, and you were able to get so popular despite not being ingratiated by the establishment that you started impacting their events that scared them, so they had to strike you down. And I think it is because of that influence with the younger audience. Do you think that's accurate, or am I wrong? I mean, but to me, it seems like most of your audience is college-aged or younger.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Most of my audience is high schoolers, college kids. The average age is something like 15 to 25, somewhere in there. And that showed during the Groyper Wars when we were sending people to Turning Point USA and Young America's Foundation events. It was all college kids. It's teenagers, early 20s type people. And that's exactly right. What it comes down to at the end of the day is control. And what they want is a system where the only people that can have influence over the minds of millions or thousands or hundreds of thousands are people that are approved, people that have the stamp of approval from a billionaire, from somebody there, from one of the major organizations. Like you said, they're ingratiated in the system. And I think that's why they struck down InfoWars. I think that's why they struck down me. It's because the idea of somebody having influence who they don't have on strings scares them. Because if we start to introduce ideas that are harmful to the interests of them or of their donors, and we start to influence voters or a mass movement, well, obviously their whole house of cards begins to come down. And you're already seeing some of the conservatives that we went after, they were shifting their positions in real time to accommodate some of the demands and questions that we had for them. For example, with Charlie Kirk, we were asking him, why do you support, for example, the F1 visa system? Why do you support the EB-5 visa program? He was saying that we should staple green cards to every diploma of a foreign student in the United States. And we said, how is that conservative? How is that America first? And after asking him that after so many events, he came back a few weeks later and said, oh, I was mistaken. I changed my mind. And they can't change their mind on the fundamentals. That's what they understand. They can't change their mind on their promotion of degeneracy, of foreign wars, of all this terrible stuff. So they just have to shut down the people that are making a lot of noise about it, shut down the people that are making a stink about it and influencing the minds of conservatives who are going to turn their back on the PragerU, the Ben Shapiro type conservatives. And so in that way, censorship can be viewed as something that is counter-competitive or anti-competitive for conservatives. In as much as Ben Shapiro tweeted out today, like you said before, I don't know how much of a defense that was of my free speech. He may type out and say, I don't think YouTube should ban him for his viewpoints, but I'm sure he's grinning today, and I'm sure they're all grinning today. All
absolutely.
The people.
As he sits there and slings mud in your eye, saying, hey, he should have free speech, and then spits in your face like, oh, okay. And, look, the thing with Turning Point USA, I mean, this was obviously it was big for you to challenge a lot of these ideas, which I think was fair. I don't get into it with TPUSA or Charlie Kirk or any of these guys. I don't think they'd ever come on the air with me either, whereas you will. But I think, too, the irony that they have this event called the Culture War, but then when somebody challenges them in the culture war, quote unquote, they try to stand down or censor you or tell your supporters or followers to buzz off. But on a weird level, too, what's funny is I guarantee you, and I didn't really follow it as much, but I guarantee you anytime a liberal comes up to the podium or the microphone or whatever to give them trouble or harass them, they probably let them go on and on and on. They probably even welcome that. But if it's an educated question or opinion coming from a fellow conservative, that's when they shell up.
That's exactly it, because the left does not challenge their monopoly over the right. They do welcome, any 19-year-old blue-haired feminist who's going to come up and say, why can't we have free health care? They love when they get asked those questions because that allows them to bolster their fake conservative ideology with some kind of a response. But when somebody from the right, as you said, somebody like myself, people that aren't hateful, people that aren't extreme or fringe, that's what they try to do, is to characterize it as out there. But people that are educated, have well-formulated questions and a coherent, well-thought-out ideology, and we come up and challenge the foundations of their worldview, well, that is actually a threat to their monopoly over the entire conservative infrastructure, which they rely on. And that's what Turning Point has done. And, I know you guys don't attack them, but I do on my show. And so that is why we're a threat to them. So they can say, oh, no, we don't oppose, rather, we don't support YouTube censoring Nick Fuentes, but they're grinning and they're smiling because they know that now they are safe, at least for a moment. They get a reprieve from that kind of hardcore criticism from real conservatives. That gives them the cover that they need. It's the question again of control. I'm not in their control. I'm not on the payroll of a billionaire. I started my show by myself. As much as people like to say, in my parents' house or in my dorm room, but that was exactly right. I just had a green screen and a laptop and a Blue Yeti microphone and some stupid Logitech webcam. And over the course of 3 years, I was able to create a pretty sizable movement of young people who are real conservatives that are not buying this stuff from Ben Shapiro. And that scares them. And that's why I'm sure they mobilize their influential people on the coasts in California or in D.C. or whatever to lean on YouTube and lean on Twitter. And I think there's a lot of evidence that happened because at the end of the day, they're a lot more afraid of America first than they are of the left. They want that fake war, like you said, that fake culture war going on forever between a controlled opposition left and a controlled opposition right. What they fear are the people not a part of that controlled debate.
Well, and I will just say this, for you as a young guy to do everything you've done on your own, I salute you. I mean, that's the American dream. And, it used to be what conservatives would actually promote and celebrate. But again, Nick Fuentes seems to be the bastion or the antithesis, I guess, of that. One more thing here. Let's change lanes for a second. We got 2 minutes left. This is just a common theme that we see over and over. Suspect who destroyed college Republicans' booth at UCSC identified as queer activists. So we got all these leftist activists, the LGBTQ people, the Occupy people, whatever, Antifa threatening Republicans. In fact, I think it was another place actually just had their another Republican headquarters just got firebombed, I think in Georgia or something. Anyway, it's been dozens of times. But then the FBI comes out and says, quote unquote, white nationalists are as big of a terror threat as ISIS. And I'm sitting here, I mean, forget about ISIS for a second. Let's just look here. As far as political violence in this country is concerned, it's all the left. It's Antifa. It's all the left. And it seems to get no notoriety whatsoever. I mean, what do you make of that in 60 seconds?
Well, what I make of that is that obviously the people that are in the FBI, these deep state people, they're political actors. The left-wing violent people are really proxies of the establishment. what does Antifa really represent? What does the left really represent in a place like Portland, or when you see these fire bombings against ICE? In a sense, they are promoting the globalist ideology of the banks. I saw a kind of a boomer type meme online the other day, but it made a really good point. If you go back and look at Occupy Wall Street in 2012, just 8 short years ago, you could see leftists that were opposed to Wall Street and the banks and everything that they were promoting, the foreign wars, the tax breaks, the bailouts, and so on. And then you look at the left in 2020, and you see all the left that are on these parade floats during Gay Pride Month, and it's Berkshire Hathaway supports Gay
or like
Pride
Chase
Month and
Bank
all this.
or something.
Right. And so the modern day left, whether they're Antifa radicals or it's AOC or it's whoever else, I mean, they're propping up the corporate neoliberal
All right, Nick.
establishment.
All right, hey, thank you for coming on, man. You got banned on YouTube. You're getting banned everywhere. I just one quick question, yes or no. Are you going to pick yourself up by the bootstraps?
Yes. I'll pick myself up by my bootstraps. I'm going to give him a firm handshake, look him in the eye. But thanks for having me.
All right, here's the deal. I don't have enough time to play the full clip, so I'm going to go to just the last 90 seconds of my one of, I think I did 4 prediction videos, just showing how the odds that we do here on the Democrat nomination and all the politics, the odds making that we do here is 10 times better than anything else you'll see. And I'm going to do my next odds making for Democrat for president. But this was back in, when was this, guys? December or so? So this was December 3rd. This was, I think, either my most recent or my second to most recent odds making for Democrat nomination. Here it is. 0. Elizabeth Warren. Wow, her stock was big. Now her stock is way, way down, ladies and gentlemen. But she's not dead yet. And she's still ahead of Buttigieg and Gabbard. I'm gonna go 25%. 25%. Marianne Williamson is still sticking around? Yeah, I was gonna say, that's good. We'll just give her a peace sign. So it's not a real number, but she's at least on the board. So that's nice. Or maybe a crystal ball here. It's like we could do a little crystal ball for her too. So there you go. So there you go. And now Andrew Yang. I think he's at 7%. But, no, see, he's more relevant than Buttigieg and Gabbard right now, but not politically electable. So 7%. And then who comes in? Who is the favorite right now? At 51%, it's Hillary Clinton. All right, now, by the way, guys, pull up and put the freeze frame of the numbers that I had there, because this was, I believe, before Bloomberg even announced, and I had him above Buttigieg and Gabbard and Warren and everybody else except Clinton. Now, if you actually go side by side to my odds versus what's going on, my odds making is about a month or 2 ahead of the time. So I had Warren slipping about a month or 2 before she did, and I had Bloomberg surging about a month or 2 before he did. Now, here are my latest. I just do this live on air, guys. All right, Biden. I believe I've had Biden at 0% the whole time. That has not changed. Biden's still at 0%. Michael Bloomberg. This is going to be the big one right here, folks. Michael Bloomberg is now at 51%. Buttigieg. Now, even though he's climbed in popularity, I'm actually going to bring him down in the odds to 5%. Gabbard. She should be probably their top candidate, quite frankly, the only one that could beat Trump. But obviously, she's being destroyed by the Democrat Party. But she is a fighter. So I think she's going to fight her way to stick around. And I think she has better odds than Buttigieg, because I think the Democrats may try to hold him for the next couple elections. Klobuchar surging. She's right kind of there with Gabbard, where the Democrats may be willing to take her on. So she gets a 6%. Sanders. Now, I've been running Sanders at 0% because I don't think he wants it. But it's reached such a fever pitch for Sanders now, I think that he has to have more than 0%. And so for the Democrat nominee, Bernie Sanders is probably going to go with, I'm going to move him up 7%. Steyer, still 0%. Warren, 0%. And now the one I've been writing in, Oh, by the way, I guess Bill Weld is still in the race against Trump. He gets a no. Trump will win presidency 100%. But I've been writing Hillary Clinton in. So here, let me write her in one more time here. There's Hillary right there. The devil. My favorite. She's been my favorite. But where is Hillary Clinton now? She has slid, ladies and gentlemen. But the Democrats are still corrupt enough, and she still has enough influence that I think she still has a chance at a brokered convention, which they're admitting they would try to do. So I'm going to bring her in at 25% now. Major slide, but still alive. So Michael Bloomberg, ladies and gentlemen, is now my front runner, and I think he has the best odds to get the Democrat nomination. Michael Bloomberg. All right, Savannah Hernandez, Frank Kavanaugh coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we're into the third and final hour of the InfoWars War Room. I'm going to open up phone lines. We're going to have Frank Kavanaugh. We're going to have Savannah Hernandez. It's going to be a real roundtable here. And we will try to squeeze in some calls. It's going to be tough with the whole panel here. Before we get to all that, though, InfoWarsStore.com, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering, hey, how can we support your work? How can we support the work you do on the road? How can we keep you funded to make sure you're on air? How can we keep you funded to make sure you can build alternative platforms to host, these guests and these commentators that have been banned off all social media? Well, you can go to InfoWarsStore.com, and there's so many ways. There's so many things you can get at InfoWarsStore.com that you need, and then you can support the broadcast. For example, toothpaste. Everybody uses toothpaste, right? Super Silver Whitening Toothpaste from InfoWarsStore.com. Very popular. We had the Super Blue toothpaste, which we still have at InfoWarsStore.com, but the Super Silver kind of stepped in as the elite toothpaste formula, and now it's more popular than Super Blue. It's selling out. Get your Super Silver Whitening Toothpaste at InfoWarsStore.com. That's just one of the household items that we have. We also have shampoo, all organic natural shampoo at InfoWarsStore.com. Body wash. So these are household items that you need that you can shop at InfoWarsStore.com. The Super Silver Wound Dressing Gel, the Super Silver Immune Gargle to build your immune system. These are all just a small portion of the products that we have. The supplements and everything, T-shirts, it's all at InfoWarsStore.com. Documentaries that are just great to awaken your mind, make you think, inform you. You can share those with family and friends. Get 10 of them. Donate them to every local library in your area. It's all at InfoWarsStore.com. All right, now, before I bring Frank on, I'm kind of confused about something. I may need the crew to just straighten me out here. It was Lisa Page that was in the alleged secret relationship with Peter Strzok, right? Yeah, that's what I thought, that little demon creature. Well, Lisa Page tweets out today a picture of herself cheersing to Andy. Very odd stuff. Was Lisa Page? Well, no, it couldn't be. No, she wouldn't. No. All right. Frank Kavanaugh is with us. He's shaking his head. Yeah, there's Lisa Page cheersing Andy. Very weird stuff going on there.
Of course.
I don't know, Frank. What do you make of that?
I mean, come on. If she was having an affair with one married man, why not have an affair with another married man who is her boss? You know? I mean, I think there's actually tweets about that though. And you know, she was just giving a early Valentine's to her old lover Andy. That's all she was doing.
But it really does. I mean, it looks like a romantic gesture though, for real, on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And if not that, just look at the smugness on Lisa Page's face. She belongs in jail.
It's people like her that she actually said in that interview that it was her Justice Department. It's not your Justice Department. It's our Justice Department. And the whole government is full of Lisa Page and Peter Strzok. And it's horrible. But I want to thank you for having me on for your Valentine's Day special.
Yeah.
And I want to wish a happy Valentine's to my favorite lady, and that's Lady Liberty. Because right now, that's what I'm dedicating my time and my life to, is making sure that we have this country that I was gifted enough to be born in and grown up in a place where we produce so much awesome stuff only here that the whole rest of the world wants to be here. And the people that want to take it away are the people that are inside our own country. And it's diabolical. You know, it's great that you just had Nick on, because I was just thinking about this, how there's basically right now, we're all focused on getting Trump reelected. What we need to focus on, it's almost as important as getting Trump reelected, is every single person listening to this right now needs to go to your local county Republican Party and become involved. And we have to take back the Republican Party, because there's 3 or 4 political parties in the United States right now. There's the Ron Paul Republicans that have basically taken over the Republican Party, which Trump is part of. Then you have the establishment globalist Republicans. You have the establishment globalist Democrats. And then you have the Bernie Sanders far left Democrats, which they shut down Ron Paul just like they're shutting down Bernie. And the conservative Inc., those are the globalists. Those are the people that as soon as Trump is out, it's going to go right back to the same song and dance with the military industrial complex, unless we as the American people step up and sacrifice a Saturday afternoon or a Wednesday night and become involved locally. Politics is everything, and it starts at the local level. And what they've done to us as citizens is made it uncool to even talk about politics. They made it uncool to be involved with your
not
country.
just uncool, but it never happens. And so there's no energy. There's no momentum. I mean, it's just like, let's say, a basketball team is in a dry run and then somebody comes up on the court, makes a three-pointer, and then gets a slam dunk. Well, now you got momentum, and the other team sees that and they get energy. That same dynamic can be applied to politics. It's kind of why I go to the city council here and, quite frankly, just lambaste them. Just so people can see and be like, hey, that's what I'm thinking. Hey, yeah, these guys aren't helping us. Why aren't more people confronting them? Why aren't we taking these people on? Frank, you did want to cover a story here. Rage Against the Machine, who hate Trump. Rage Against the Machine tickets are on sale and extremely expensive. $300 a ticket, $190 for a nosebleed seat. So what is the deal here, Frank?
Now, I looked into that because I've worked with the same people as the guys in Rage Against the Machine. I met them a couple times years ago. And it's not that expensive, but it is incredibly expensive. For the cheapest tickets, $125. Now, that's ridiculous. And I think that Rage Against the Machine needs to change their name to Rage for the Machine. 20 years ago, they were one of my favorite bands. I loved Rage Against the Machine. And I was raging against the machine with them. And I'm still raging against the machine. But Tom Morello is the machine. And Tom Morello is raging for the machine. And you have someone who basically their excuse is the tickets are so expensive because we're going to donate most of the money to, good movements and good charities, where it's a perfect example of what you mentioned earlier, how Republicans will have an event and we're not going to charge an arm and a leg for the event. And we're gonna have a fundraiser for $17,000 trip with Don Jr. and it gets sold for $200,000 because that's free will. That's the individual donors want to spend money, and you get way more money than you wanted to get. They're basically forcing us, if we want to go see their music, which is great music, Rage Against the Machine rocks. If we want to go see that, they're forcing us now to donate to globalist, anti-American, anti-family, racist organizations.
And they always have to say something negative about Trump, which is confused because they were actually in Austin. I think they played before. Who was it? They played before someone, and then I believe they were at South by Southwest too. So for them to say this is a reunite, I guess for a tour, I guess they haven't been on an official tour, but they've definitely played shows since 2011. Which is what they're claiming. They're reuniting for the first time since 2011.
Reunion tour, but the whole reason they're doing it is because they want to go against Trump, and basically Trump is their anti-establishment politician that they were fighting for 20 years ago. You were fighting for Trump. And now here's Trump.
But on another level, we're about to go to break here. On another level, I follow rock pretty closely. I like going to rock shows. I mean, Rage Against the Machine is not that popular anymore. I don't see how they think they can sell out. And that's the other thing too, Frank. You know, because they're talking about how if you want to be in the pit or on the floor, you're going to have to shell out hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Well, that used to be where the real rockers got to go for, $30, $50 a head. But now that nobody can even afford it, so unless you're like, 50 years old or 60 and you're not going to be rocking. But that's a separate issue. I didn't know Rage Against the Machine was that popular, though. I don't think they are. That seems like a pipe dream. I don't know. $300 a head? I'm not seeing it. No, it's fine, Frank. This is just something I composed. In fact, I recorded myself. I didn't even know anybody was going to play it on the air. Just a little thing I put together. It's not from the Hook movie. Okay, this is not John Williams' track from Hook. This is Owen Troy original piece. Come on. All right, Frank Cavanaugh is with us. Savannah Hernandez in studio. The big news today is Andrew McCabe gets to walk. So another total miscarriage of justice. If you're a Trump supporter, well, you get thrown into the gulag like Mike Flynn or like they're trying to do to Roger Stone or Paul Manafort. But if you're a corrupt bureaucrat that went against the will of the American people and ran an illegal coup on the president, like Andrew McCabe and Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and the rest of that swamp group, well, you get to walk and you get no criminal charges. That was the Valentine's Day gift to McCabe today. So, Savannah, I know that you were following this today. What did you learn about Andrew McCabe and this dereliction of justice today?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking into the background of Andrew McCabe and how we got to this point, and I guess the weight of the Department of Justice not going forward and dropping these criminal charges against him. Now, going back to it, in September of 2019, U.S. Attorney Jesse Liu decided to indict McCabe, and this was the first ever indictment against an acting director in the FBI because, of course, he leaked to the Wall Street Journal that the FBI had a probe into the Clinton emails, the Clinton Foundation, and he was actually on record under oath 3 times having lied about giving that leak to the Wall Street Journal. So, of course, that came out in January 2nd of this year, actually, that he came forward and he admitted to lying under oath about this, and he's now walking free of these charges. He's not going to be indicted at all for any of this. And the main thing, I think, why this is important too is because, of course, Roger Stone, another name that has been big in the media over the past couple of weeks, because the same Department of Justice is trying to charge him with 7 to 9 years, or trying to put him in jail for 7 to 9 years for essentially the same charge for allegedly lying. And it's just so unfair, and we're really seeing just a miscarriage of justice here. And it just seems that the prosecutors in the Department of Justice are a lot more lenient to people that aren't fans of Trump, basically.
So McCabe gets caught lying about a real thing, perjuring himself. He gets to walk. But if you're Roger Stone and they frame you for a fake event that never happened that they called Russian collusion, well, they try to slap 9 years on you in jail. Now, I don't think it's going to go that way. There's obviously been some developments lately in the Roger Stone case. But, Frank, what do you make of this blatant? I mean, we've all known it, or at least theorized about it and talked about it and sensed it, but it's wide open for the public's consumption now. 2-tier justice, one set of rules for them, another set of rules for us. It's really blatant at this point.
It's so blatant, and this is what we were just talking about. This is why we all have to get involved, because if you look at what just happened to our president, who did it? It was politicians that were willing to. They're treading on the verge of illegality. They are abusing power to try to take down Trump. Maybe the Republicans need to be as ruthless and as cutthroat and do that. And the only way that we can do that is that we as the American people cannot let them get away, because we're not involved, and we have to get involved, and we have to support the people that are running against Pelosi. That's the only way that's going to happen, because they're going to, what's happening is you have generations of deep state government, academic, corporate. Their whole thing is getting shut down. And the generation where it's falling apart is the Hunter Biden generation. That's the generation that Joe Biden was going to pass it to. And that's why it's falling apart, because they haven't had to work for anything and they're spoiled rotten to the core and they're Luciferians. And the only way that we're going to do it, though, is we have to be involved. We have to all, as individuals, everyone always asks, what can I do? Go down to your local Republican Party and get involved and just do it. And that's really the only answer I see, because the Democrats and the Republicans, really, the establishment is one party. It's a globalist party. They're both funded $5 million every time there's a presidential election. They get $5 million to put on a convention. And that needs to end. The Republican Party has been taken over by the Ron Paul Republicans. But now what needs to happen is the Democrats need to get taken over by the good Democrats, or the Democratic Party needs to go away. In Germany, you cannot be a Nazi. You can't have a Nazi party because they've been so evil and they've caused so much destruction to the country. And that is what needs to happen, maybe.
Oh, my gosh, but that's actually it. That's why the Democrats sit here and call everyone a Nazi. They're the ones acting like, I mean, you can say acting like Nazis, whatever. They are the equivalent of Nazis with the corruption and all the evil that they're engaged in. But, I mean, I don't think there is anybody that can take over the Democrat Party with that angle right now, Frank. I think the only one I could see doing that would be Tulsi Gabbard. Again, I don't agree with most of her stuff, but there's a lot of things I do agree with, and I don't think she's a bad person. And so she would kind of be that leader, and she would give the Democrat voters a lot of what they want, but they don't give her the time of day. They don't put her on the debate stage, and she ends up getting snuffed out by the Democrats. So I just don't see that happening to the Democrat Party. So maybe it does go the way of the dodo bird coming up here ahead of the elections in 2020. Savannah, I know you've been shocked at what you've seen from the Democrats.
Definitely. And I mean, now more than ever, I'm glad that I've started paying attention to politics, especially Democrat politicians and what they're trying to push in our cities. I know that you touched on earlier how they're now going to be sending, what were they called, like elite units or elite forces to sanctuary cities. Well, I saw this
elite tactical units.
Elite tactical units to sanctuary cities. Well, I saw this story come out yesterday, or actually today. Colorado lawmaker wants to strike phrase illegal alien from state law. And we always talk about on this show and on Alex's show about how the Democratic Party wants to take over language. It's all about destroying language. It's all about telling you what you can and can't say. And this is a perfect example of that. And they talk about Joaquin Castro and how he wanted to do that exact same thing, how he's actually quoted in here saying that eliminating this language from government expression puts us one step closer to preserving their dignity and ensuring their safety, talking about illegal immigrants. But again, it just goes back to that, you know, our government and the Democrats are really pushing just taking over every single aspect of our lives, from what we eat to what we say. And
notice, too, just at a very fundamental level, the Democrats always call to protect who? Illegal immigrants. They're not even citizens. Trump is up here promoting American citizens, American ideas, American heroes, and the average Democrat is out here standing up for people that aren't even Americans. I mean, Frank, I don't even know how you can analyze that other than just it's the anti-American party.
The Republicans and the Democrats used to be fully globalists. You know, the George Bush Republicans were globalist Republicans. The Democrats are the only thing that the globalists still have. So they are full force using the Democratic Party to push everything, last ditch effort.
Well, and I think honestly too, they're all so compromised, like Adam Schiff and Ciara Mella and all these guys. They're all just compromised. They're just puppets at the end of the day. And so, yeah, they'll go along with some big lie, and even though everyone knows they're lying. All right, we've got just 30 minutes left. I'm going to open up phone lines now. We'll take your call with Frank Kavanaugh, Savannah Hernandez, and myself, 877-789-2539, 877-789-2539. I am working the crew like mules today, folks. So go over to InfoWarsStore.com and purchase a bunch of supplements and T-shirts so that we can give them a nice bonus. Because I'm really making them work like mules, and I feel bad to kind of be the guy to have to whip them into shape sometimes. Not that they're not doing a good job. It's just I go out in the break, I give them 100 things to do, and they somehow have to do it and make me look good while I'm live. It's pretty much a miracle. InfoWarsStore.com, though, is the miracle that keeps us on air, and your support there. So we're going to take some of your calls, 877-789-2539. Allow our crew to aggregate those right now. I got some other news here. Yeah, how about this? So there was I read the story today about an exorcism. And the guy who does the exorcism says that when he's exorcising demonic spirits, there's a significant change physically, emotionally, whatever, on the person they're exorcising when they come in touch with the holy water. And it made me think of something, and I know we've done this before, but it made me think of the left when they see a Trump hat. And it's almost like, I'm not trying to compare it as a religious experience, but it really is like Trump hat is like holy water to these people, to people being exorcised for demons, and they just go absolutely insane. I mean, Savannah, you don't like wearing a Trump hat out. You won't go out and wear a Trump hat because you've seen what's happened to people. I mean, you've seen the reaction of these crazies in the streets.
I mean, you don't even have to be wearing the hat. Just try to defend the president or even say his name and people will go crazy on you. And I actually did. I wore a MAGA hat when I was in D.C., but it was actually a beanie. So it wasn't the red hat, but even the beanie, made a couple of people upset. I got a couple of mean looks because, you can't make a political statement, not even a political statement, but you can't even wear a garment of clothing in 2020 without someone getting so upset that they feel the need to look at you in disgust or even come up and confront you for your political views. So, something that we have both experienced. It has not been fun.
And by the way, Frank, this all comes because of, I'm not trying to pick on them. It's just what they do. When groups like Rage Against the Machine come out and say these things about Trump, like he's the bad guy, that's what creates this hate. That's what's created this environment. Really, the mainstream media is to blame, too. I just don't understand why they want to do this to America, why they're so intent on dividing us.
Well, divide and conquer. That's the first thing. Is if you look in Germany pre-World War II, when they got a lockdown on the media, they brainwashed the German people, and it was something through joy, basically progress through joy, and that's basically what we're looking at with the Democrats. Is the left, the globalists have a lockdown on media. InfoWars is like the place. It's the only place, not the only place anymore. It used to be the only place, but they have a lockdown on mainstream media so that all these people are brainwashed where they're like, oh, it's okay to be violent. It's not that big of a deal. Like, look at yourselves. That's what we have to start saying to our friends and family and coworkers that are Democrats. Like, you support violence by being a Democrat. You're a racist. Identity politics? What kind of wordplay is identity politics? That's racial politics. That's all it is racism. And the American people, not all of us, half of us, are so brainwashed by the industrial media complex that they're not even themselves anymore. They are cult members. It is a mental disease.
Oh my gosh, that's what it is. They aren't themselves anymore. I don't think you could phrase it any better. They've had their souls occupied, literally.
Yes.
That I think is the best description. All right, let's squeeze in some calls.
And before we do go to phone calls, actually, since we are talking about the Rage Against the Machine and all of these celebrities, oftentimes we have a lot of pop stars or singers, bands come forward and talk bad about President Trump. And that's something that I've experienced myself too. I love going to concerts. I love going to music festivals. And a lot of the times, there's going to be at least one or two people that stand up and take advantage of the fact that they're able to be on stage and use that to say, oh yeah, by the way, F Donald Trump, and they have to make it political. And then, of course, too, you have a lot of young people in these situations that are seeing this person being cheered on for having that political view, for being angry about the president, for hating Republicans. They see that, they're like, okay, well, I want that same praise. I want to be accepted just like this pop star is, beloved just like he is. So I'm going to have that same exact view and push it. And I just wanted to touch on that because, that is one thing that is so frustrating about going to music festivals now as a conservative. And, if you don't have political leanings and you are going to these music festivals, it is easy to see how younger generations are being swayed by it now.
And it just taints the whole thing. Even if I was at a deal and the guy got on stage and said, Trump's the best, I'd still kind of be like, I didn't need that. All right, let's start taking the call. Let's go to Martin in Ohio. Go ahead, Martin.
Hey, Owen. Thanks for taking my call. I did want to disagree with your political odds making on one.
How
one
dare
thing
you?
there. I can't be Bloomberg. The Democrats need the minority vote, and there's no way it can be Mike stopping Frisk Bloomberg.
So, but let's say if they go with the minority, to play the identity politics, who is it? Who do they even have? They don't have anybody.
Well, they don't have anybody, but like Bloomberg's worse than most of them on that count.
But I'm saying there is no minority to replace him, is what I'm saying, unless one pops up.
True.
I guess Pete Buttigieg would be the only minority.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
It would be Buttigieg. But Martin, that's why I had the clarification there of saying I think the Democrats are testing Buttigieg. I think they're intending on running him for real in like 2028 or something.
Oh, okay.
Oh, by the way, thanks for the call, Martin. This is really weird, Frank. And I almost don't want to bring this up because I really don't know. And I don't like doing internet conspiracy theories that I can't really understand. So I hesitate to even bring this up. In fact, maybe I shouldn't, but I already kind of went there. People are trying to say that Pete Buttigieg is like stolen valor. And I'm not saying he never served or anything. I don't know, but they've noticed that the pictures of Pete in his military uniform don't add up. And these are military people pointing this out to me. And like I said, it's basically internet conspiracies, people sending me this stuff, but they're saying, look at him in this picture. Look at him in this picture. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have sights on his rifle. He doesn't have his, stuff on his arm, all this stuff. And I don't know. I never served. You were overseas, so I don't know if there's any legitimacy.
The thing about being in the military is that we don't like other people in the military to look ate up, basically like soup sandwiches. So if you see another person in the military with their uniform out of whack, you're going to go correct them. And you're hoping that they'll correct you. So that's very easy to like prove if that's real or not. Basically.
Well, and that's why I've never brought it up, and I almost regret bringing it up now. It's just like I don't. Basically, I expect the unexpected with the Democrats right now.
Well, I'll say this. Like I was on your show probably 6 months ago, and we were talking about this, and I predicted Bloomberg back then because the whole field, besides Bloomberg, are jokes. They're complete jokes because the Democratic Party is a joke. It's a shell of itself. So many. What percentage of people have walked away from the Democratic Party? It's a large percent. What percentage of the African American vote has walked away? A huge percent. They don't have what they used to have anymore.
So Bloomberg's your favorite. So Bloomberg's your favorite for Democrat nominee.
Well, he's not. He's my. That's who I think that Trump's going to run against. Yeah.
Okay.
Bloomberg.
Yeah. Bloomberg's my favorite too. What about you, Savannah? Who do you think?
I have been looking into it, and I didn't think that Bloomberg was going to have as big of an impact. But I think that Bloomberg has been the name on Donald Trump's lips the most, and I think that's the biggest indicator that is who he's going to run up against. If you look at who President Trump has been attacking and tweeting about, who Donald Trump Jr. has been tweeting about the most lately, it's Bloomberg. It's not any other candidate. And I think that, again, is kind of pointing to the future of who is really his competition and who he feels, I wouldn't say necessarily threatened by, but I guess who has more chance of beating him.
Well, and threatened might not be the word, but I do think it is that Bloomberg is the biggest threat. And I think Trump has recognized that.
Yep.
And I don't know why people don't take Bloomberg more seriously. He has billions of dollars. He's shown he's willing to spend it.
Yeah.
The Democrats are desperate for any leadership. He's already won political office before. I don't know. Bloomberg is in a good position right now, I think. All right, we're going to take a couple more phone calls. Savannah Hernandez, Frank Kavanaugh with us. Let me hit 2 headlines before we do that. Oh, and I need to play this video too. Macron's candidate for Paris mayor quits over sex tape. How inconvenient. 500,000 insect species face extinction, according to scientists. Well, look, scientists have been saying, we're all going to melt or we're all going to freeze or whatever for 100 years, so I'm not sure I believe it. But what does this do to the left saying we're going to have to eat bugs? So now eating bugs, guys, the insects are going extinct. We can't eat bugs. Jeez. So I don't know what we do now. I'll tell you what. Let me do this real quick, guys. I just have to do this. Guys, do we have clip 19 ready? This is an individual. Here. Let me just play the clip and explain. You'll understand, guys. Roll the clip. A televangelist is selling a liquid that can fight coronavirus.
Circling the globe You're saying that silver solution would be effective.
Well, let's say it hasn't been tested on this strain of the coronavirus, but it's been tested on other strains of the coronavirus and has been able to eliminate it within 12 hours.
Yeah.
Totally eliminate it, kills it, and deactivates it.
Yeah.
And then it boosts your immune system, so then you can support the recovery, because when you kill the virus, then the immune system comes into action to clear it out. So you want a vibrant immune system as well as an ability to deactivate these viruses.
It can be purchased on Baker's website for $300. $300, guys. So hold on a second. Now, look, we told you that a certain colloidal silver can. It's been proven to stop some strains of the coronavirus. We've been selling it. We have it at InfoWarsStore.com. But guess what? It's like, what, $10? I think we sell it for $10. People are out here trying to hawk silver for $300. There's our Super Silver Immune Gargle 10-ounce spray, $11.95. Now, we've had the colloidal silver on sale for so long, we almost sold out. It had to go back to full price. It's now $30 full price. 10% of the price that they're trying to charge you at that website. But there you go, folks. Silver Bullet at InfoWarsStore.com helps build the immune system. You heard it there. It's known to fight strains of the coronavirus, except we sell it for 10% the price of the big guy. So there you go. All right. Let's take a call from, actually, Savannah, is there anything else you want to say before we take a call?
I don't think so.
Frank, what about you?
When we were just talking the last segment, I saw that that headline of Tom Morello saying, if you can't punch a Nazi, who can you punch? And I never realized that he's calling for political violence, and that basically every Trump supporter is a Nazi, so he's calling me a Nazi. So Tom Morello's saying that he wants people to punch me. And he went to Harvard for political science. I went to University of Texas, Dallas for political science. If he wants to call for people to have political violence on me, physical violence because of my politics, I will tell you right now, Tom Morello, I will politically crush you. I will politically crush you. And I challenge you to come on the War Room for a debate. Come on here, and you'll see that 90% of what you think and I think is the same thing. And you're brainwashed too. And you are no longer Rage Against the Machine. You're Rage for the Machine with your $125 tickets. Ridiculous. So,
well, I don't want to. Here's the other thing about that. Like, okay, a Nazi, first of all, there's no Nazis, okay? There's no German Nazis running around in SS uniforms, okay? This is ridiculous. This is very low IQ, immature behavior to even act like this is a real thing. Oh, yeah, look at all the German Nazis walking around in their Hugo Boss uniforms. Oh, ridiculous. But what is a Nazi? Is a National Socialist. That's literally what it stands for. That's a damn Democrat. They just say Democratic Socialism. Well, that's a National Socialist. So they're the damn Nazis. I'm just sick of this crap. All right, let's take a phone call. Let's go to Libero in New York. Go ahead, Libero.
Liberal in New York. It's liberal in New York.
Oh, liberal. Libero?
Yeah, liberal.
Well, whatever. Go ahead.
Liberal. Yeah. I'm disappointed in your assessment with the victory lap that you took with respect to this elite border patrol force that's coming into these sanctuary cities. You were aware in 1953 they created this unconstitutional 100-mile border zone where the border patrol they have certain rights, or they can abuse your constitutional rights, and that's something that you just don't understand.
Well, now, but wait a second. If you're, let me ask you this though. Fundamentally, if you're not a U.S. citizen and you illegally entered this country, do you have a constitutional right to just be above the law?
No, you don't, and that is correct. But what you are failing to understand is that there is the Hegelian dialectic in motion right here, Owen. During the Obama administration, the borders were porous. Studies have shown during the Trump administration, the borders are even more so porous. And because that was the case, you had a lot of illegal immigrants coming in. They created the sanctuary cities. So what you have now is the perfect reason, the perfect excuse to send Border Patrol people into these areas and abuse the constitutional rights of citizens living there.
Well, we'll see. Okay, I understand your point. We'll see if that happens. My retort is this.
It has been happening, but this is what I'm saying.
Well, now, hold on, Libero. This hasn't been enacted yet. So whatever you're referring to is something else. I'm not denying that goes on. Our rights are getting abused all the time. I'm simply saying, all that I'm saying is I'm glad there's going to be, or at least they claim there's going to be some action fighting illegal immigration. People have been illegally living in this country for decades. We're forced to pay for it. I want to see some action against that. I even said I'm sad that it has to go this way, but I'm glad that maybe there's some action. But you make a good point. Let's get the response from Savannah and Frank. Savannah, go ahead.
So I'm glad that we are bringing this up because I think a lot of people think, too, that in terms of illegal immigration, a lot of the times it's just women and children who are coming across the border who are looking for a better life. I recently lost friends for the first time because of differing political views. I had a lot of friends who were liberal Latina girls, and one of them sat down with me and said, you know, my family came here illegally, and because of that legal trip into this country, our whole family stemmed from that. And I think that there's a big, I guess, misconception in our country right now, too, that it's okay for illegal immigrants to be here and that we shouldn't be fighting against it. But at the end of the day, we need to remember that at the border, there's so much human trafficking that goes on. There is sex trafficking of women and children that go on. MS-13 gang members are allowed to cross the border with ease. There's drug trafficking that goes on as well. So at the end of the day, it comes down to us needing to have secure borders and enacting our laws, because if we don't enact the laws with illegal immigrants and allow them to continue to live in our country, pour over our borders, we're never going to have a country with laws that are instituted.
And it really ends immigration. There's no such thing as immigration if you have illegal immigration. It's just open borders. Frank, your take.
Owen, the road to hell is paved with good intention, and they had good intentions to let the illegal immigrants in and have a sanctuary city because they're good people. They're just trying to improve their lives. Obviously, that's gone haywire because the incentive to come here and get free stuff has created a trail of tears, a new modern trail of tears from Latin America, where people are being abused, sexually assaulted, robbed of money the whole way, killed. Okay, and that was the good intentions of the Democrats. Now, that goes both ways. We have to watch out with these tactical units that they don't start abusing power. But the thing is that the Democrats for decades have abused their power in the cities. And now we, the American people, are asking our president to come back, use his power to fix this. That's what it is.
And that's what we're hoping. And again, it's sad that it has to go this way. It's just the situation is so out of control. Let's give Libero 30 seconds here to make a final statement. Go ahead.
All right, guys, I agree with you all. Illegal immigration, it's illegal, it's against the law. But the supreme law of the land is the Constitution. And that is what I'm not even from America, I'm not even from the United States, but I understand that the Constitution is the law of the land. And if you have these agencies breaking the law, then it dilutes it totally. If you take a look at the situation, you have Democrats and Republicans working hand in hand, and this is what you all don't understand at InfoWars. You all are playing party politics. You all need to remove yourselves from that and see that the destruction of the Constitution will be the end of the United States.
Well, I have to just disagree with you there. I think you make a fair point when it comes to abuse of power, and we'll keep our eye on that. I think that's a very fair point, but we don't do party politics here. I just have to totally disagree with that. We've shattered the two-paradigm system here for a long time, and we helped get Trump in office to do that. But you make a good point otherwise, Libero. Maybe you can call in again next week. We can have a further discussion as this story develops. All right, for Savannah Hernandez, for Frank Kavanaugh, for Nick Fuentes, for Bryson Gray, for the callers, for everyone that tuned in, happy Valentine's Day. Thanks for watching InfoWars and supporting us at InfoWarsStore.com. You stay classy, InfoWarriors.
InfoWars, the most banned network in the world.
Let's just pull back from this. Bill and Melinda Gates had a giant drill of 65 million people dying from a virus escaping in China 3 months ago. Then they fund and help develop a TV show for Netflix, a docu-series that cast Bill and Melinda Gates as the saviors of the earth, financing vaccines for a worldwide pandemic of flu they predict that will kill hundreds of millions, and of course other vaccines like coronavirus. So they even have TV shows on Netflix coinciding with all of this unfolding, and they try to hide the fact that they're deeply involved in the production of the show. But at the end of the show, you learn that they've been there all along and had chosen to pick this maverick scientist to develop this wondrous one-size-fits-all flu vaccine that everyone needs to take, and that bad people that won't take the vaccines, they're the problems. So we're all going to be taught the incredible fear of the coronavirus and cities locked down and checkpoints and all of this incredible information. And then we're taught that the saviors are the United Nations and Bill and Melinda Gates. We have had sources through the big food industry and through several major food suppliers that institutional groups, governmental groups, corporate groups are buying up all the food, and that the food prices, raw food prices, are skyrocketing. Well, that indeed is now happening, and you're now seeing that in the news today. And storable food is selling out everywhere. Most of the big storable food suppliers are already sold out because they sold out to big institutional groups. My Patriot, that puts out InfoWars Select, that's their entire line of food, just an InfoWars sticker on it, still has food. They're still able to guarantee delivery within 7 to 9 days. Other people will tell you they can do that. I can tell you most of them won't, but that could change at any time. That means if you get your order in now, you will get it within 7 to 9 days. And they've got it fresh. They're packaging it right now as fast as it can go off the line. But if you wait, then it might be 10, 15, 20 days. We don't know, because already a lot of storable foods are being bought off the shelves here. The gas mask and the antiviral mask are selling out, and people are preparing. People are concerned. People know what's going on. Also, I personally have been taking vitamin D3 with vitamin K, or winter sun, because that's the main reason the body breaks down to viruses, is a deficiency in vitamin D3 or vitamin K. And yes, I was already promoting this a month ago because it's the wintertime before this even happened. We are selling out of our vitamin D3 that's organic and high quality winter sun. I'm going to keep it at the discounted price, I guess, until it sells out, because that's the right thing to do. But it's pretty scary that that's happening. And again, you go to InfoWarsStore.com, get the highest quality storable food, fresh, last 25 years, in good, high quality plastic sealed containers, with the then containers inside of that as well. Great for transport. This is all just a reminder, with the economic crises and with the election looming and the globalists trying to cause a civil war and race war, that now it's more important than ever to have a get out of Dodge plan and to have storable foods and water filtration. And InfoWars has been right on the front lines of getting people prepared. So whether it's the Alexa Pure water filtration system, that's still discounted despite the fact they're selling very fast. Those are probably going to sell out in a few weeks at projections. The food, again, at My Patriot, that private labels ours, they're selling out very, very quickly. We have the lowest prices you're going to find from My Patriot or any other distributors at InfoWarsStore.com. In fact, we were way lower than all of them, but they called yesterday and said, look, our prices have gone way up. You're going to have to raise it up to at least this point. But InfoWarsStore.com has the lowest price you're going to find on the high quality food from MyPatriotSupply.com, and the order just goes to them every hour, and then they ship it out right there. And then that also funds the InfoWar, which is a 360 win. But the big deal is that, according to the UN's own definition, the coronavirus is now a global pandemic, and obviously it's synthetic.